Yes, just a few more seconds and we are live as always. I had a little bit problems with the music, so you don't hear any music because Facebook was blocking some of my things. Anyhow, 3, 2, 1. Yes, this is Jean here at the place. Let me go to my next scene. This is Jean here at the place, and if you don't see me for just a little second, just bear with me. I thought I was ready, but I was not. Hello there. Yeah, this is Shah here at the place. Um, as always, every Tuesday, with a new topic. Today we have, a familiar topic we talk about, and familiar, no pun intended. It's about our comfort zone. If you don't know what this is about, then this is the place for more connections and more answers. We are here every Tuesday on Facebook and YouTube Live at 12 o'clock Central here in Dallas and 7 o'clock in Europe, and everything that is around that time, according to your own time zone. Before I forget, don't forget to subscribe on my new YouTube channel. I would very much appreciate that. Not because I want to have all the likes, I just don't want you to miss all, the episodes that we put out there. Sometimes it's a topic that might not speak to you today, but maybe it speaks to you tomorrow, right? Today we are going to talk about, how comfortable is our comfort zone really. Now you might say, okay, Jean, we have heard that story about the comfort zone already. Everyone talks about it, and it is true. If you just type in comfort zone, you get a lot of things. But first of all, I always like to take a slightly different take on the topics that I bring here to bear, and but I also like to debunk some myths around the comfort zone. Is it all that bad? And is the comfort zone really, a comfort zone, or is it maybe better call it the uncomfort zone or something like that? Anyhow, welcome to the place, episode 214 of Tell the Everyday Life Lessons. And today we're talking about the truth about our comfort zone and why it isn't that all that comfortable at all. I always have a little bit hard time pronouncing that word. And to me, this falls mainly under the life energies, mental and creative energies. And as you know, there are 5 different life energies. By now, you should know that, right? If you follow me here on Facebook or YouTube Live. And but just just to make sure that you really know what this is all about, then you have physical energy. We have um, we have mental energy. We have creative energy, and we have manifestation energy, and we have divine energy. Actually, 2 episodes ago, actually, I dedicated the whole episode, and I honed a little bit deeper into those energies. And the 5 life energies were first introduced and presented in my best-selling book, Broken Silence: Living a Life of Passion and Purpose After Sexual Abuse. If you haven't had a copy yet, maybe this is a good time to get one, right? And anyhow, go back to our topic. How comfortable is our comfort zone really? Um, I say crap stinks, but it is warm, and that's a little bit how our comfort zone is, right? Or the myths about your comfort zone. So while a small percentage of people enjoy taking big risks, there are people who, risk takers. We see them often on television, and because of that, we might have a little bit of an idea that a lot of people are risk takers, but actually, it's a very small percentage of the population that is doing that. Most people enjoying, the majority of us prefer actually to feel a little bit more secure and safe. And it's not a popular thing to say, but if you just check in on yourself, you know where you are. Maybe you are one of those people who are risk takers. But most people like comfort and we like safety. Yeah, we frequently develop, kind of recurring behavioral patterns that provide our daily lives with a sense of, regularity, or in order, to feel safe every day. We do that. We do things. We buy better cars. We install maybe I don't know, safety installations in our house, changing our locks. Nowadays, you have cameras where you can see someone that's at the door. You might say, it's not, but we do. We put security out the software that we use or the computers. We do all these kind of things. We take the same road to work most of the time because we know the road and we know then how to go safely to our work or wherever we go to on a daily basis. Yeah. So a euphemism here is we refer to this as our comfort zone, the things that we do daily and that we feel comfortable with. you know the comfort zone is so all that is, of course, it's not necessarily bad. Don't change your entire life because Shah is talking here about the place, but here on the place. But we're talking about maybe things that are maybe feel comfortable but are maybe not so comfort zone. So the comfort zone is necessarily bad. It's just a featureless, monotonous terrain that doesn't provide any surprises. We don't always want to have surprises. It's almost daily the same. Sometimes we can't even remember on Thursday what we did on Monday. Living in this area, however, prevents us also from completely participating in life and frequently results in a feeling of unhappiness, aimlessness, and a lack of purpose. I would not have a job if that wasn't true. So I often get approached by people who, feel that they have a good life, but they want to have maybe more a sense of purpose, or they have an underlying feeling of unhappiness. So they're not completely unhappy, but there's something like they have a feeling that there is more in life, so to speak, right? And that's often when we stay in the comfort zone. And it could be caused by many things. It could be just by life is, but sometimes it is caused by traumatic experiences like abuse, as I wrote down in my book. So outside our comfort zone is what we call our growth zone, and I also sometimes like to call it our courage zone. You need to have a little bit of courage to go outside the things that you know really well, right? So you could say, and maybe that helps you a little bit to describe it more as a rich and beautiful environment, like an environment that encourages to look around and stay less static. Um, and it's not per se that you have to climb mountain tops or jump over big ravines or things like that, or fight a wild tiger or things like that. It's just a place where we have a chance to prosper and thrive. Let me just turn down the music for a second here. All right. So I don't know why, but my music started to play suddenly in the background, right? Where was I? Yeah, oh, there's always something that goes wrong in this show. So if only for that you should follow me because it's kind of fun. Oh, yes, I was saying outside your comfort zone, there is a place where you have a chance to prosper and thrive. And even if you think you already do that, maybe you bear with me a little bit and see if that's actually true. Because if it's true, of course, I'm super happy for you. We all say, everyone that I speak to, whether it's in my dance coaching or in my other coaching business life, they all say we want to grow. Yeah. But our actions and behavior often speak quite differently, right? They are not always geared towards growth. They are often just to maintain the current situation that we have and maybe with little changes, but it's not really focused on growth. And so our actions reveal that we, greatly prefer to remain in our comfort zone versus stepping outside it and facing our fears. And it sounds maybe a little bit bad, but it's actually a little bit true. And we see that a little bit further on in this show as well. Now, how come? How is it that we do that? Because in general, change is perceived as dangerous by our sub or unconscious mind, right? There is actually a difference, but I'm not going into that right now. So our unconscious mind actually perceive any change that we do as dangerous. where everything that we already familiar with is the same. Now, I'm a person who likes to eat in a different restaurant and eat a different dish as much as I can. But I know people that goes out once in a week and they go to the same restaurant and order the same dish because they like it so well. And I don't want to take that away from you if you are a person like that. Um, but maybe that is something that you do. I make coffee every day at the same time of the day, so I have things that are exactly the same as well. But so I do that. I go to different restaurants and like to taste it because that's what I do. Now, what's the big risk that I take when I eat in a different restaurant and order a different dish? Is, well, I could have a bad meal, right? That's the biggest risk I take. Maybe food poisoning too, but that probably would never. Well, let's knock on wood. I wouldn't say would never happen, but it's very unlikely if you pick at least a restaurant that looks quite of decent. But do you know what I mean? You actually also, if you don't do that, there are so many things for us to taste in the world, and if you use that different restaurant and different dish as a metaphor, there might be other things in your life. They say, oh, actually, I always do the same, where I could actually change it up. Now, is that necessary 100%? No, maybe not not in the area of tasting food, but there are other things as well, right? So the question is actually, is our comfort zone so really comfortable and is it really safe? Right? So there are many examples, and there are probably also a few in my life that are maybe not that safe, and I think they are safe, right? Think about your food habits, right? We all want to have a healthy body. A lot of people nowadays, they really not only want to lose weight, but I think they need to lose weight. It is the sad truth. We all say that, right? I am in a fortunate position that I am also a dance coach and a dance teacher. So I make many hours on the dance floor. So I have almost a need to make sure that my body is functioning well. And that's not always completely in my control at all. But, I was blessed with that fact. So, yeah, I want to lose some weight once in a while as well. Last weekend, I had to dance a competition with one of my students, and I wanted to just look better, right? It's not that I was overweighted at all, actually. Actually, I'm not, and but I still wanted to fit better in my dance clothes or whatever. I At least that's that. So I lost about 8 9 pounds, in 2 3 weeks. So, and it is because I just took some less sugar and changed a little my food habits. And to be honestly, I don't have really bad food habits. Maybe once in a while I take too much coffee, but that's it. I hardly use any alcohol. I don't have a sweet tooth. I do like once in a while maybe some good meat. I'm not sure if that's always bad, but that's it. I eat vegetables, so that's not where my bad habits are in. But for a lot of you, that's true. I know it's true. Drinking a lot of soda, okay, that could be once in a while, once in a month, maybe a bad thing for me too. But it's not a habit, right? I don't drink soda on a regular basis. So if you look honestly at yourself, we always say we want to grow and do better. And if you look at things like food, there are probably a couple of things. I know there are a couple of things in my food habits that I could change. Um, but if it's not a habit, maybe once in a while eat something that you really indulge and like is not bad at all, right? But maybe there are things in your work. Maybe you work too much, or maybe you don't work at all. And a lot of people I work for corporate for many years, and I easily made 70 hours in a week. And it came to a point that I actually neglected, not willingly or not consciously, my family because of it. And I always thought that work was so important, which it is, but it's not the most important thing in life, right? And it definitely kept me a little bit out of the things that I think and felt I needed to do, which was writing a book about sexual abuse. Now, writing the book about sexual abuse was already out my comfort zone, but quitting my job to be able to do that was definitely very far out of my comfort zone. Was that a right choice or not? I leave that up to other people to judge. But I'm just saying, maybe in your work, maybe you want to actually, are, aiming from another position in your work, or maybe you want to have a different career altogether, but you think, the salary is so good and it's close to home, and I know where it is. I know my colleagues, a lot of people, from my experience in corporate managing quite of people, I know that is sometimes what stop people to take a next step in their career. And it's not always about going up and up and up, you know. But it could be, if that's what you want. Relationships, right? Sometimes we become complacent in our relationship, and maybe don't put in the effort that we did when we were just, really in love, and, walking on cloud nine and stuff like that. And our relationship became a little bit complacent. In worst cases, maybe your relationship is actually quite toxic for you, but you just, you always you feel more safer to stay in a toxic relationship than break the relationship with all the consequences that has that, right? So I'm not, he not definitely not here, but definitely in my work, working with people who are abused or in situations of domestic violence, I definitely come across people where you could really say you are in a toxic relationship and it is time to end that, right? And maybe even worse, maybe you are the person that are toxic in the relationship and need to look at your own habits and how you behave in the relationship. Yeah, think about other things like, how is your exercises? We nowadays have a lot of jobs where you mostly sit in a chair, like I'm sitting right now. So you need to make sure that your body keeps moving, and we all want to move more. We always say that. Again, in this case, I am blessed to have a job, at least partly a job, where I need to move a lot, which is a dance coach. And so we dance a lot. So my exercise, I can definitely say at the end of the week, I had enough exercise, even if I didn't go to the gym at all. Right? So I still had enough exercise. But most of you, or most of us, don't actually have that. Right? So, and it is really more comfortable most of the time to stay in the couch than go to the gym and put your gym gear on and push weights and run for half an hour on a treadmill. That's not always that comfortable, So what's good for us is not always that comfortable. So is there something maybe you need to change, or maybe you overdo it? That's another thing. Use of devices and social media. Ooh, yeah, that's a hard one for me. I sometimes, get distracted and look for half an hour to things on Facebook that actually doesn't add anything to my life at all. It's just a form of procrastination. So I think I can change a couple of things there, but it feels good. It feels comfortable, and sometimes it gives me a feeling that I was busy, although it was not so good for actually what I want to achieve in life. Now I keep go on and on and on with list. I'm sure there are a couple of things that you recognize yourself in, of things that you can change, and I hope you do that and keep the mirror in front of yourself and say, hey, yeah, there are definitely a couple of things that Sean just said where I could actually see that that's my comfort zone, but maybe I should let things go. So we often know what we need to do to improve our lives, seriously as that is, right? We do know that, but we are constrained by this, what I call false belief, and it's very deep. It's a deep false belief that is preferable to remain the way we are, and it's and not in our intellectual thinking often, but it's more in our behavior and habit, because we can often wake up and think, okay, this is the day that I'm going to change my life and change my food habits or exercise or what have you not. But very often it it doesn't work to that, and that's mostly because we prefer subconsciously to remain the way we are. The fact, and that could even come despite the fact that it could actually be painful, because to be overweighted is painful, and it's maybe not on the short term, but it will be painful on the long term. And even if we know that smoking, it's damaging, it is hard to stop smoking. I know that from experience, and we say, yeah, one day I will stop. So we keep doing it, although we know it's damaging other, addictive type behaviors, right? So even the things that are detrimental to our own health and well-being, we keep doing them, and then we might say, "Yeah, we'll change that tomorrow." And it could be as simple as taking too much sugar or drinking sodas, and in itself, it feels like one Coke is not so bad. But sometimes, and I noticed that when we were in COVID-19 situation, we still are, but in the time when we had a lockdown, for some reason, after years of not drinking or hardly drinking any Coke, I just bought a can, and then I bought another one, and before you know, I had a whole tray, and then I had a Coke every day. I really had to make a hard stop of that. So these nasty habits, they creep in more quicker than we think, right? So in other words, what people typically describe as their comfort zone is actually very uncomfortable, and you might not even notice it, because uncomfortable situation, can feel really good. It's because we used to it, right? So if you're not in a fully healthy body and you're overweighted, you might not be sick or something, so it doesn't feel so bad, because you have not experienced, or not experienced for a long time, what it is to feel, to live in a healthy body that can move around and can run and jump and stuff like that. And if there's other reasons why you can do that, then of course I'm sorry for you, and I feel with you. But for a lot of people, they have that actually more in their own hand, right? So, remarkably, even when it gets in the way of what people really want, and think it's attainable for them in their lives, most people will still prefer to go you know, with the devil they know, so to speak, because it's more comfortable. So why is that actually? Why do we that, right? And so your comfort zone isn't about comfort. It's actually a wrong chosen name, and maybe through this thing I can change that, right? Your comfort zone that's the wrong name, because it's all about lowering your vulnerability, and it's lowering scarcity, and it's lowering and minimizing your uncertainties in life. That's what it is about, right? So we want to have that security. It's we feel comfortable, but it is actually not so comfortable at all. Sometimes, some situations, abuse situations, are not that comfortable at all. Bad situation, poverty situations. I'm not saying you can always do something about it, but often you can do more about it than you think. Right? Situations that you live in are maybe not so comfortable as you think they are. So our current circumstances feel more comfortable since it is what we're familiar with. The word familiarity is important here, even though we logically understand that there is so much more available for us. We still have on an everyday life, and tomorrow will change it. Tomorrow will change it, but when will tomorrow come? Right? That's a song of the Eurythmics. Um, Anyhow, we feel more in control of it when we are aware of what we're up against. So yeah, we have a sense that we think we need to be in control of our life. So in a comfort zone, we feel that we can manage the things that life throws at us. Yeah, and it's in contrast to all the uncertainties that we invite when we take on a new steps or new directions, right? So to determine if our core beliefs are accurate or not, we must put them to the test. At one day, maybe today is the day, and I help you a little bit how to do that. We must, put some of those core beliefs actually to the test, and if they're really true. So how safe is the environment they're in? How good is the job that we're working, that we are at? I'm not saying I had a bad job, but definitely, or maybe I treated it bad, but it definitely didn't help me to keep my family together. And that responsibility is, of course, first and foremost on me, or on both me and my ex-wife. But the circumstances we live in often are, helping or not helping the changes you want to make in life, or the changes that you should make in life. Does that make sense? So we need to learn from testing our core beliefs that maybe our comfort zone is not all that cozy, and we might even discover that the courage, or what I call the courage zone or the growth zone, isn't really that scary and dangerous after all, right? Changing things in my professional career at the end, actually Maybe I should have done it 10 years before that, but that's of course it's on hindsight. But or maybe it was the right time. Who knows, right? But at some point in time, you need to test these things. A mindset shift and experience. So you need to have a mindset shift, and you need to also experience some small wins first. Are both necessary for internal change. I'll talk about that just about at the end of the of this show. So, common false beliefs about our comfort zone, right? And I took this from an article that I wrote. It is, we all have common false beliefs around our comfort zone or about our normal life. And you could also hone it down to your career or your relationship, right? So, my comfort zone is safe, or my say my current job is safe. Safety and familiarity are frequently confused, right? It is not always safe to stay within your comfort zone, even if you're familiar with it and have learned how to do things to do things. And actually staying in your comfort zone might be actually the riskiest action course of action of all. Your false sense of security may be preventing you from receiving all that is in store of you outside of your comfort zone, um, is your fulfillment, calm, and joy. So that is kind of a little bit of a false belief, right? That your comfort zone is entirely safe. And I kept it here a little bit safe in describing that, because if you would use these sentences that I just used in a toxic relationship where abuse is into place, then yes, the person that is abusing you is maybe very familiar and promise you a lot of things, but it is not safe at all, right? If you live in a neighborhood where it's not safe for your children, then it's maybe a neighborhood that you know where you grew up. And I grew up in a neighborhood, and it's not that bad, by the way, if you go back. But I saw the neighborhood change from when we first lived there to where it's right now. And in some places, that could be a very dangerous place suddenly. So, not saying that you can change these things really easy, but tend to say, I know it and therefore it's safe. That is not the same thing. That's my point. Because you know it, because you're familiar with it, and therefore it's safe. That is not the safe thing. That's the false belief that I'm talking about, right? Knowing something doesn't equate with safety. Um, Another false belief: my comfort zone is where I'm in control. Now, no, of course, like I just said, we're accountable of our own actions and decisions, obviously, right? But that doesn't mean that you're fully in control of everything that happens in your life. I wish that was true. I'm not sure if we could all handle that, but it's just not true. Yeah, although you're accountable for the decisions you make, neither staying in your comfort zone or stepping outside it will give you the complete ability to govern your own life. So it doesn't change whether you stay here or whether you went to the growth zone or the discomfort zone, whatever you want to call that, right? I call it the courage zone. It doesn't really matter. You don't have full control over your life, period, or the situation you're in. You only have to think about what happened to the world with COVID-19, and you know that actually you don't have control of these kind of things. And it didn't matter whether you're pursuing your dreams or where you're just playing it safe. It didn't matter at all. Another false belief is my comfort zone is predictable. Predictable, right? Predictable is there's nothing predictable at all about life, right? And although it's good to have some rituals and some habits in place, definitely that is good. That gives life structure. But following, your routines doesn't ensure that life will continue to be predictable. So again, you've seen that in the pandemic. Yeah, think about the potential that your routines are keeping you from developing new routines, right? So doing the same thing over and over again doesn't leave you any room to change those things. So if I work with people, the first thing that we are going to look at what habits can we change and what habits should we change that actually brings you closer to the purpose or to the goals that you have in life. Does that now anything that you want to do actually in life requires some not so predictability, right? If you only do things that you can predict, life would not be that interesting, let's be honest, right? So, another false belief, I have a few more and then we're done. In my comfort zone, I avoid failure. I wish that was true. But in reality, everyone fails sometimes. And it's just an opportunity to grow. And I've said that many times and learning. So sometimes I even say if you see every failure as a learning, as a point of learning, then failure actually, exceed to exist. Failure is giving up or not trying. That is basically what it is. That is the true failure. You only fail if you give up or if you're not trying at all. Later on in this episode, or maybe I need to do another episode, that you can also try to push too hard and too far out of your comfort zone. That's not a good thing either. I definitely will say something about that in the end of the show, um, but giving up or not trying in general, actually, that is where true failure is. Therefore, even though you may believe that you have successfully avoided failure inside your comfort zone, you could actually be stuck in that failure trap without even realizing it. So you could be stuck in a failure trap without even knowing it. And that is the trap, the trap of not trying anything new, not trying what you actually really wish from inside. And if you already have that, if you really can guarantee to yourself, man, I live the dream, I do what I really wanted, I am in service of people, all that kind of things, then I have nothing to say to that. But most of us, we are not there yet, right? So most of us actually live in a trap of failure without even knowing it. And that's the trap of not trying. And it sounds hard and maybe even a little bit condescending. It's not how I meant it, right? Um, so then I think I have two more. In my comfort zone, I don't experience any fear. So, often we think that, it's a little bit frightful to try new things. It is, it is intimidating to take risk and attempting new things. And you must be willing to face your fears and work through them if you want to succeed. That is just a common saying, and it is also true. We all need and want love, but when you approach life from a place of fear, you are unable to give or accept it. Fear and love are incompatible. And I throw something big at you, but it is seriously true. If you live in a life of fear, it actually stops you to live in a life of love. Think about it. Loving someone can be a little bit fearful, but it actually is more fearful to not love at all. Yeah, uh, whole new topic. Whole new topic. Last but not no, actually, I have two. I have two more. I won't let my comfort zone stop me from following my calling. So some people say, no, I am in my comfort zone, but I also can fulfill my calling. Right. The truth is actually that following your calling will always lead you to challenging the situations that you're in. Now, this one, of course, you need to believe first that everyone has a calling. Not everyone believes that, and that's fine too, by the way. Last but not least, my happy place is in my comfort zone. Yeah, I am perfectly happy. Why are you talking about these things, right? 80-90% of the people, if you follow the research on that, actually say that, no, I am actually happy. No, what they say, they are actually quite content with what they have. They feel comfortable. But if you truly ask them, are you truly happy? Are you truly fulfilled in what life giving you? And they would answer you honestly, then that answer is often no. And there are quite a few books written about these topics, but one of them struck me quite deeply. Actually, is when people were asked, maybe not the moment before they were dying, but in their last phase of their life, if they regretted anything that they did do or didn't do. Most of the time, 90% of those people didn't regret what they did do. I mean, maybe if they committed a crime or something, but most of the things, most of the people were just common people. But all of them actually regretted what they didn't do. What they didn't do, what they wanted from life. And for some people, that is as simple as actually learning how to dance. Dance was actually quite a big thing in those things. People will say, yeah, I always wanted to dance. Another big thing was travel more. You know, writing a book was definitely a thing that was mentioned quite a bit, and therefore it's quite still quite exceptional. Although there are thousands and thousands of books out there, but if I walk around in my environment and they hear that I am a best-selling author, people are always like, "Wow, man, that's so amazing." But if you go to Barnes and Nobles, you might think that Barnes and Nobles is a big bookstore here in the U.S. You might think that everyone in the world is a bestseller, but it's not. It only looks that way. It's a small percentage that has that calling to write. I'm not saying go out there, drop your work, and write a book, but a book is a metaphor for the things that you want to do in life, and it could be. It doesn't have to be world changing. It could be something like, I always wanted to go to Antarctica or another strange country. It could be, taking a dance lesson or something small as that. But the most remarkable thing in those researches, it always comes down to the point people seldomly regret of what they did in life, but they often regret what they didn't do in life, right? And that what they didn't do in life is almost always outside the comfort zone. Does that make sense? So my happy place is in my comfort zone. Not true. A happy life is one that is full of purpose, right? So let's do, to end this here, a little exercise. So put yourself a little bit in a comfortable position, to use that word comfortable, no pun intended. Quiet down a little bit. Let me just do the talking here. Breathe deeply and give each question that I give you. There are only two, full attention and one at a time. Try to feel how uncomfortable you are in your comfort zone, right? Try to feel if that's good English, try to feel the uncomfortableness of your comfort zone. Are there areas in your current life that you actually live day after day after day that is actually not so comfortable? So, how does your current situation life make you feel? Can you experience the stress, that you may have on a daily basis? And sometimes we're so used to that stress, that we accepted it and feel comfortable in that stress, but it's not healthy for you. Could be the wariness or the detachment of your potential purpose and potential. Do you feel it anywhere, right? Anywhere in your body or anywhere in your mind. It could be, if you do your body, is do you feel some tense, maybe in your shoulders, in your head, or in your stomach, right? Yeah, so do that for a moment. Is there anywhere in that area of your life when you said, I have a good life, do you think actually I'm not so comfortable with that at all? Well, whether that's in your job, a relationship, whether it's in the way your body functions, whether it's maybe other things, right? Um, and then on the opposite of that, if you did that, consider instead the feeling when you would optimize those areas. It could be your whole life, but it could be just your job. How would it feel if you would be in a job that you actually really wanted, and or maybe the relationship you really wanted, or the relationship situation you really wanted? How would that feel if you have that? It's not always obtainable, but think about something that is obtainable, right? How perhaps it's a contentment, happiness, confidence, and sense of purpose that you start to feel, or maybe you get more connection with your creative self. How do you feel when you wake up every morning when you're fully energized to do the things that you want to do? Right, so balance those two feelings. One side is feel the discomfort in some of the areas of your comfort zone, and feel how it is when you change those areas. Yeah, really feel the difference. If you want to listen to this little exercise again, do it again and try to really do that. Maybe you need to do it later on in the day when your workday is over and you have a little bit more time to do it. Do it a few times in the coming week, and you will find out what you want to change, and you will be more motivated to do so. So, what would it be like to face another year of discomfort in your comfort zone for another 2 or 10 years? How would your life look like if you keep doing what you are doing today and don't change anything at all? Yeah, or just let change happen because it happens because of the outside world. Yeah, how would that be? Say that you're now 35, pick yourself when you're 45 and say, hey, I didn't make any changes. This is exactly the way it was. How would you feel about it? If you still feel really good about it, then I keep quiet and we can go all on with our lives. But if there's anything else, then maybe you want to make those changes, right? So imagine yourself stepping into the feelings you want to experience the most, right? And how would that feel, right? Maybe you are planning for that travel you always made. Maybe you're planning for that career move you always wanted. Maybe you planning to have the healthy and fit, energized body you always wanted. Things don't happen overnight, and that's often why we don't pursue them, because we kind of overestimate what we can do on a short term, like let's say in an hour or a week or so, but we underestimate what we can do in a year, right? And sometimes it feels so far away, but in a year, if it comes to changing your health, you can change a lot. You know, in a year, if it comes to changing your relationship, you can change a lot. In a year, if it comes to your work, you can definitely change a lot. In a year, if it comes to your food habits, you can change a lot. Sometimes we underestimate. We live in a time where we want to have immediately results of what we do, and often the younger generation, and I'm saying that, I know I start to sound like an old fart, but I'm saying that, and I mean it. We want to have instant gratification, but with these changes in our life, it's often not so the case. And you will have more success with smaller steps than with big leaps. So often we go down to a coach and they write up a big plan for you. How do you fast go and change your life? And some things can go faster than you think. That's definitely true. But a lot of things, it is specifically if you have been in your comfort zone stuck for a while. There's nothing wrong with you at all. There's so many people. Don't be ashamed of it. It's better to take a little step out of the comfort zone and feel that success, and then keep growing from there, then immediately taking on big projects and try to do that. And then before you know, you're pushed in that success. Actually, when I was preparing for this talk today, I wanted to talk about that point, but I felt I need to do an introduction first. So I will come back to that point later. Can we push maybe a little bit too far? And yes, so that working outside your comfort zone and going into your growth and so on, that sounds like really good coaching talk, and it is to some extent. But I want to give you a warning here, is if you take the steps too big, it will get you pushed back into your old comfort zone really quick. So take small steps in the beginning, right? So if you're a smoker, maybe you take larger breaks between one cigarette and the other. If you don't have the best food habits, right, don't immediately throw everything aside and start like what I often do, eat rice with only tuna and green veggies. You might not survive or like that. Maybe you start with, taking one of the candies that you eat too much, or chips, or maybe you stop, maybe instead of drinking 3 Cokes a day, you drink only one or two, right? Take smaller steps in the beginning, but make steps and keep tracking them into, for instance, a journal, so that you make progress in that. Does that make sense? Now, that topic, how to make those lasting changes, that's of course another topic for another day at the place. But today, I just wanted to say, think about your own comfort zone. And someone said, "Wow, that's a pretty, that's a pretty tough quote, that you used in the beginning, right?" Crab stinks, but it is also warm. It is often a little bit true. The life we are in is sometimes not so good as we want to describe, and definitely not with our current social media behavior. We want to pretend that we're on this cool life. All just look at the areas that you want to make a change. You don't have to change your whole life, right? But if you want to fulfill purpose, or what we have you not, then maybe you want to do that. And specifically to those people with a really tough background, because of, sorry, I'm going a little bit away of my microphone, that they are a little bit away from their purpose, because of what happened to their life, and that is often and that is often because of a traumatic experience, then there is this strong belief that nothing good for them is in store. And I can highly recommend you, strange as that is there is a way to live with passion and purpose after the abuse that you have been through, and you can actually change that into something else in your life too, if it's maybe not abuse but it's another more traumatic experience as well, right? So anyhow, I hope you like this talk. If you want to join me for my after party on Zoom, just drop me quickly a message either on Facebook or on YouTube, and I'll see that here and I can drop you the link. We can do a little after talk about this or another topic in Zoom. I will hang out there for another, let's say, 30 minutes. If not, then I'll hope to see you next week with another topic of the place here at 12 o'clock Dallas time or 7 o'clock Europe time or anything else in between. This was Jean. Hope to see you soon. Don't forget, of course, to subscribe on our YouTube channel. And with that, saying that, I'll say to you bye bye.